So at my job, I, along with benefits, have the option to sign up for ID protection.
Mm-hmm.
ID protection.
Okay.
And every couple weeks they send me account updates. It's just like, hey, you're safe right now. We don't see any suspicious activity. But then they will also send me breach alerts of companies. And so it's like, this happened to this company, and so if you've been interacting with them, maybe go check your stuff out. And I got one the other day that said that Bumble had been hacked.
Oh my gosh.
And that like accounts and passwords and personal information of a large majority of their users had been stolen.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, that's a
Bumble.
That's a Bumble.
It's a tumble bumble.
Tumble Bumble.
You're listening to Almost Sisters, a podcast where two almost sisters discuss their weekly interests. It's the same thing they've been doing for years, but now they're in front of a microphone, and they're editing it, and posting it with an audience. This is going to be trickier than they thought.
So we're talking about modern dating.
Yes.
And we're talking about dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
And what a...
You know what show that is.
Exactly. I was trying to come up with like a synonym, like a poopy storm.
Crapshoot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a mess.
Yeah. It's kind of like... I don't even know. I can't like create an analogy for it. It's kind of just an evil on its own.
It's its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was an experience that I was not prepared for and didn't really know what to expect, and I haven't experienced anything like it since then.
Yeah. I think that I don't know, like, I'm one of those people that, you know, I interact with people in my real life as they become kind of necessary to interact with.
Yeah.
I guess. Like, that sounds kind of, like, you know, antisocial, but really it's just kind of like...
Well, you don't talk to strangers.
Yeah, if there's someone sitting at the table next to me and I don't know them, I'm not going to talk to them unless they, like, start up a conversation with me first, which I always feel really uncomfortable when they do, but I talk to them. But, like, with these apps, it's like you're seeking out people that you would never have run into in real life. Most likely. I mean, there's, like, 1 in a billion chance, or probably less than that, but, you know, that you're just... throwing yourself out into the world and going like, somebody notice me.
Yeah.
Which I guess we're kind of used to with social media, but in a different way.
But it's encouraged to be like, somebody notice me romantically.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh,
somebody I've never met notice me and want to date me, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I've been on Tinder before. And you've been on Tinder before.
I have been on Tinder.
So that's what we're going to talk about.
I feel like your story is a little bit longer because mine was very short-lived. And
yeah, I mean, I have, like, a story as to why I got on it and the few people that I met on it. And, yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'll tell my story for it first, just because it's a little bit shorter and we can go into other things after yours. So I got on Tumblr... Not Tumblr. No.
I never got on Tumblr because, geez, no shit. No, I got on Tinder in, I think it was 2015. It was after I had broken up with a total loser. He if anything that comes to mind when you think of a total loser, that was him.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he was a philosophy major who dropped out of college. He played guitar, but he wasn't that good at it, but he thought that he really was. Anyways, I could go on, but anyways.
This picture you're painting is great.
So I go to the university that I ended up graduating from. We know my whole story of jumping back and forth through colleges from last episode, but that, you know, once I got settled there and I knew that I was going to be there for the rest of my college career, I was like, well, I need to find somebody, you know? That's like what you do in college is you find somebody. Wrong, but that's what people tell us, right?
Right.
So it was after my first, or no, I think it was like near the end of my first semester. I was like, I guess I'll give Tinder a try. And I had like matched up with like 5 or 6 guys in the area. Like I kept it like really close. Like I didn't want to like do like weird out of state stuff or whatever. But yeah, the first guy that actually messaged me, he saw on my bio that I said that I'm an English major and I love literature. And he goes, oh yeah? If you love literature so much, why don't you name one of Ralph Waldo Emerson's poems or something like that? And I was just like, and I replied back, I was like, 1, people who love literature haven't read everything.
Yeah.
Like, and 2, you're never going to find someone talking to people like that. And 3, you're an ass.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
I
sent that, and then I let it have enough time where he could read it, and then I blocked him.
Good.
So, and then a couple other times it was kind of just like, hey, and I'd go, hi, what's up? Nothing much. Cool.
Like,
end of conversation.
Why are you here if you're not gonna like? Why are you starting a conversation if you don't have anything to say? Oh my god!
Like you could have been like, I'd be like, how are you? Good. Oh, what's your favorite movie?
Like start asking questions.
Like it doesn't have to be like you have something in your line of sight and go, oh, that I need to ask her about that, because you're just in the ether at that moment. You need to just pop out a random question, whatever you want to know. But yeah, so those happen quite a bit, and after they'd go, cool. Nope, they're not going to reply back. If you just say cool, you got to give me...
I'm not working for this.
Yeah, I mean, even with people I care about, if they send me an unanswerable text, I won't reply. And so, because I'm like, cool, end of conversation.
We're done talking.
Yeah, we're done. So, anyways, and so one guy that I had been talking to back and forth for a little bit, he went to my college, and so I was like, okay, that's really cool, and he seemed like a really nice guy and everything. We're gonna meet up at this place on campus. I was like, it's safe, it's public, and everything else like that. But then, like, 2 hours before we were supposed to meet, I was, like, stressing out so much, and I was so, like, panicky that I, like, texted him. I was like, I'm sick! And, like...
You pulled the sick card.
I pulled the sick card. And I still feel so bad, because he was probably like, what did I do wrong? But, like, at the time, I was too emotionally unstable to, like, be able to, like, okay, it's fine, just, like, talk to him, be like, I don't really actually want to do this, and, like, I don't, I want to meet someone naturally and everything like that. But, like, it was a week after that, I deleted my Tinder account. So
did you ever meet anybody from there in person?
No, I was too afraid to.
It's probably a smart move.
Yeah. From what I've heard from you and a couple of my other friends, it sounds. So, anyways, that brings us to your story of Tinder.
So, let's see. I got on Tinder the summer of 2017. And I had graduated college and I had gotten a job, and I had been in my job for almost a year, and I started realizing I don't meet people ever. Like I see my coworkers and I met them, and that's it. Everybody else that I meet is people that I already know and are already in relationships. So I don't meet people. And so that's what made me start considering it, because for the longest time, when people, aka my mom, was like, why don't you try Tinder? My answer was just a hard no. Absolutely not. I don't want to do that. And of course, to that, my mom would say, but I have a friend whose daughter met her boyfriend on Tinder, and I'm good for her.
Stop it, Mom.
Stop it. But so I was just like, I don't meet anybody, and so this might be my only way to meet people. And looking back now, I realize that I was just super bored, because as soon as I got busy, I deleted the app because I had no interest in using it anymore. And so really it was just boredom that made me make a profile and start using it. So I met 2 people from Tinder. had some conversations with a bunch of people, and I got a lot of the, hey, how are you? Good, cool conversations.
Yeah.
But, so, I went out with 2 people. It did not turn out well.
Yep.
So, the first guy that I went on a date with, we met up for lunch, and that was so scary, going to meet a stranger, even if it was at a public location. I'm a tiny person.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is terrifying.
Yeah, no.
And so I was fully prepared to, like, turn and run if something was, like, suspicious. But he ended up being a legitimate person.
He was human.
He was human.
Yep.
And so we had lunch, and I don't even remember what we talked about. It was kind of boring.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry if you're out there and, like, for some reason listening to this. But our date was boring, I'm just telling you. I'm sorry. Anyway.
You need to be better. Like, be more interesting. Like, I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that guys are always like, oh, girls don't like the nice guy and everything like that. And it's like, no, we don't like guys that, like, don't have a personality.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you need to be able to show... I mean, the thing about girls is, and, like, why we're considered so emotional is because we, like, you know, we show our personality when we're even trying not to show our personality. And so it's like, guys are just, like, so, like, closed in, and it's like, ooh, you're, like, you know, a mannequin right now. I don't want to, like, get to know you because there's nothing right now on the surface.
Yeah. But we'll get to how that all ended in a second. But, so we had lunch, and then he asked me what I was doing the rest of the day. And I said, oh, I have to go run some errands. And he kind of looked at me. Just like, he just kind of looked at me like he was waiting. And I was like, you can come with me if you want. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to. So, because he wanted to keep talking about himself.
Oh, that's stupid.
And so we, like, went around the corner to Trader Joe's. And, like, literally the whole time, he was just, like, talking at me. And I was just like, I'm trying to read my grocery list. And he was just talk. And I was like, all right, this is cool, I guess. And then he said, we were talking about, at lunch, we were talking about Baby Driver, the movie, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And it was still in theaters, and he hadn't seen it yet. And so we left the grocery store, and he was like, I would love to go see Baby Driver later tonight. And Baby Driver is one of my favorite movies, so I wasn't going to say no. And so then we went and saw Baby Driver. And then we left the movie, and he's like, I'm kind of hungry. And I was like, you know, I'm hungry too. And he's like, let's go get food. And I was like, all right.
You paying?
Kind of. And so we went and got food. And so he kind of took that, which, you know, I don't blame him for taking it this way, but he took that as like, oh, this one afternoon meetup date has turned into an all-day date. This has gone really well. Which wasn't the case. No.
You offered her favorite movie and a free meal.
Free meal. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. Like she's human.
Yeah. So, we went on that one date. I'm pretty sure we just had one. Yeah, one date. And then we started texting afterwards, and I think, you know, he was trying to set something else up. But the reason why I was just like, this ain't gonna work, is because he started turning into a, hey, how are you, cool, awesome, conversationalist over text. And I was just like...
That makes me so uncomfortable. Like, I don't even, like, if it's just kind of, like, someone's checking in, like, it's like I
That's
just
the thing.
think it's so...
He would check in on me at least twice a day.
Ugh.
And he would text me, how are you doing? And I'm like, fine, I'm at work, I'm eating a sandwich, what do you want?
Yeah. Ugh.
And then, like, a couple hours later... How are you doing? I'm the same as I was 2 hours ago.
That's
what do you want?
Just send him, like, you should have just started sending him weird faces of you, like the under chin shot. Like, I think there was one guy that he kept talking to me back and forth, and, like, he didn't get the hint of, like, oh, never mind, you know, really, like, and I didn't block him yet, but like he kept doing that kind of like cool whatever, and I just kept sending him like random emojis. Like I'd send him like the shrimp emoji, and I'd send him like just random things that obviously couldn't get misconstrued as something else. I was just like, here's weird Indian guy with a turban, thing, just like random stuff.
Here's an 8-ball.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the Mexican and Canadian flag. Like,
have a train.
Yeah. So
that's what I should have done.
Yeah.
But so it eventually, I was just like, look, this ain't gonna work. And so he was like, at the time, he was like, oh, okay. But then he started like trying to follow me on all my social medias, and I was like, I need to stop talking to this person. And so I just haven't talked to him since.
Yeah.
Date number 2.
That was only one.
That was only the first one. And so that was my first experience, and I was just like, dang it, that was not good.
Yeah.
And so the second guy that I went on a date with, he was actually very sweet. And like, if we had been like coworkers, we would probably still be friends. But we never see each other, so we don't really talk. But he's the kind of friend that like we would be able to have like healthy debates, but we could not be romantically involved, in my opinion anyway. So met him through Tinder, and automatically I was just like, yes, this is automatically better, because he had full conversations with me over text, and I was like, great, he's good at having a conversation, being a person. And he it was just like, okay, this guy seems nice. So we met up for a date, and we went and like ate food at a food court at a mall, and then we walked around the mall, and it was like, great, he seemed nice. And so I think we actually went on like 3 or 4 dates. But I started realizing that he had like 2 or 3 interests of things he was like into, and he didn't want to be like if he was interested in something, he was the expert on it.
He just wanted you to be a fan of his stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's a good way to put it. Including his cat.
Oh, this guy!
This is Cat Boy.
Cat Boy!
This is Cat Boy. And so the reason why I now call him Cat Boy is because he started sending me Snapchats of his cat. And I was just like, I don't care about your cat. I've never met this cat before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care about your cat.
Like, I don't like cats. like, I'm a dog person. Can you tell with all the dog things around?
Yes, I like Charlie. I like Caitlin's cat. Yeah. That's the only cat that I like.
Because Charlie stays out of the way.
She stays out of the way. And yes. And like I remember one time he sent me a Snapchat of his cat like biscuiting his head. Like, sitting on top of him and, like, kneading his head. And he was like, this hurts, but it's cute. And I'm like, you can get her to stop. And he's like, so but it's cute. And I was like, no. And so, it was stuff like that. He was, like, trying to get me to start watching horror movies and, like, and not even, like, thriller horror movies.
But, like slasher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted me to watch It. And, like, as the first horror movie that I would watch.
Oh, that's not a good first horror movie.
Like,
that's one you build into. No.
Yeah. Like, he's very sweet. He's very nice. He is more normal than others that I've met. So, like, I felt bad. But same day that we, quote-unquote, broke up, like, we stayed and continued to, like, hang out and get and talk and stuff. And we got into a single debate over, like, cats versus dogs, which is better. And, like, just in that conversation, I was like, I'm so glad that we ended this, because I would not be able to stand you for longer than like a couple hours each day. Like, oh yeah. So,
oh my gosh, was he the same guy when you were like you had your hoodie around your waist that he like got upset about that or something?
Yeah.
You were trying to cover your butt, but you weren't. Like he thought that you were. Ugh.
Yeah.
That was a weird
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like that's like that's.
Oh, another thing. He didn't have any friends.
Ooh. Wasn't he like friends with like his mom or something?
His only friend was his brother and his brother's girlfriend.
His brother, yeah, that's what
And I was just like, that's a red flag if you don't have anybody else to hang out with.
Yeah. Like if you had just moved here and you didn't have any friends, fine. But if you if you just don't have any friends, no.
Yeah, that's
not okay.
Not a good sign.
It's bad, yeah.
So I was just like, there are too many red flags. This is not going to go well.
Yeah.
But so, all that to say, I didn't find a match on Tinder, and the people that I went on dates with were both pretty weird. Mm-hmm. And so, it was an interesting experience because, I started being like, well, maybe I am too picky. Maybe I'm just not going to be able to, like, if this is how guys are nowadays, maybe I'm just not going to be able to find somebody that I can be compatible with. Mm-hmm. But I know that's not true anymore. So.
Yeah, because we met our guys through friends like normal people.
Like normal people, yes. And, if we'd have done that earlier, this would have been a problem.
Yeah.
Although, so you had already known Forrest at the time, so you were on Tinder way before I was.
Yeah. So I had gotten off Tinder about 6 months before I met Forrest. Mm-hmm. So I was probably on there for maybe 3 months total.
Yeah, I think about the same for me.
Yeah, so I was very inconsistent about it too. Like I'd match with someone and then I'd like check like 2 weeks later and they'd like given up. So, like, ooh, sorry.
Well, but like, I had really high hopes going on Tinder too, because I started like doing some research, not just taking friend of a friend recommendations. Mm-hmm. And there are people that like do navigate Tinder successfully and like get good relationships out of it.
Yeah, I mean there definitely are success stories. I think it's kind of one of those things that the bad ends up outweighing the good because there are so many stories that it's just kind of like I had a friend who she went to an arcade with this guy and like he just like followed her around, like he was by her shoulder like the whole time, and she was like, go play a game or something, so like don't just stand next to me. But like but I have met friends that like had good relationships and the relationship fizzled out like how relationships do, not because it was Tinder or anything like that. But yeah, I mean there has to be something to say for the fact that they're still around. People are still using them because there are success stories. Yeah. So
I feel like you have to be really good at Tinder to get a success story, which I don't know how to do. I don't know if it just takes like time and practice, but I feel like there's a skill to online dating that I don't understand.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to weed out the crazy, and yeah. You
gotta know the right questions to ask to get stuff out of the way before you meet them.
Yeah. And I think like, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about eHarmony.
Yeah, so there's like eHarmony and Match, which have been around for a long time before all the mobile apps.
So yeah, like I think it was, I can't remember which came first, eHarmony or Match, but they were kind of like the groundbreakers for the whole online dating, where it's like they take, I mean those are much more specific because I think Tinder's kind of a free for all. Like you go and you put your, I think it's like you put your how many distant miles you want, and
your
like
miles and your
gender
age.
And that's it. But then for things like eHarmony and Match, it's like who are you as a person,
more
and
like a personality quiz.
Exactly. And so there's a one that I did for like maybe a month called Plenty of Fish, and it was kind of like they just ask you a bunch of questions and then it'll show you a percentage of how people match up. I never was matched up with someone that I would consider remotely attractive. But
oh man.
So that kind of was a bummer, and that's why I fizzled out. But I think there's something to that, especially if you're kind of, further along in your life and it's kind of like you really just want to find someone to settle down with. Being able to find someone that's compatible to your personality and wants the same things, wants the same number of kids and everything else like that. I think there's much more to be said for that. However, you have to pay for those sites. You don't have to pay for Tinder, so you don't have to like invest in this thing that might not work out anyways.
I mean, but also it's like they're also not a guarantee, because even if you like match like ideal wise, it's still not a guarantee that like you're gonna match chemistry wise.
Yeah, you could just be like, oh, here's a new friend, I guess, and not actually, or it's like they match your personality completely, but maybe you don't like your own personality.
Yeah, maybe you don't.
Maybe you're not compatible with your own self, like, or you find certain things about that person creepy, even though they have all the same things in common with you. I think the biggest problem with online dating is that you can't sift through the creep factor online. Because there's like a big kind of like, once you start a date with someone, it's like, oh, he's kind of creepy, but we just ordered.
Yeah, we just got here.
Yeah.
So I have to sit and have dinner with this creep.
Exactly. And so, like, there was I had a semi-blind date in high school with one of my friend's friends. I had, like, kind of seen him from across the way, and it's like, he wants to go on a date with you. And I was like, okay. And it was, like, for homecoming. So it's like, he's going to take you to dinner before homecoming. And so he sat down at the table, and he was really quiet. And I was like, so, do you like video games? No. Do you like dogs? No. Do you like swimming? Oh no, I hate swimming. Okay. And so then we just sat in silence.
Oh no.
And then a homeless guy came up to our window. It was kind of weird. It was a weird thing. But anyways, and he later on in the night after we survived dinner, he like hugged me. But, like, it was a weird, like, because he was really tall, like, he hugged my head. That was weird.
High school boys are so weird.
It was so weird. Yeah, so, anyways, so I kind of have, even though I didn't go through with any of the Tinder matches.
You can imagine.
I can imagine.
That's kind of what it would be like.
Yeah, so I was just kind of like, and so, like, for the next week after that, I was just kind of like, I don't know, like, I don't want my friend to be mad that I want to, like, not date his friend, and so, like, I was kind of like this weird high school, like, what do I do? And so I broke up with him over text. The only time I've done that, I'd only gone on one date with him, so don't hate me, people. But yeah, so I was like, hey, I don't think, and he was like he ended up being a TA for one of my science classes, and so he always talked to one of my other friends about how many dates he was getting and how cool he was. Anyways, I'm done with that topic. We need to go back to modern
Major
dating.
eye roll.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, just the kind of like being able to sift through the creep factor is huge, I think. But like you were saying earlier, it's so hard to meet people nowadays because, like, if so many people like live their lives online and stuff like that, so they don't really try to make any connections. I mean, we don't have like social clubs and stuff now anymore. Now that we have forums and things online. Yeah. So
modern dating is really hard.
It is.
Like, that's why I just didn't do it for a long time. Because I was just like, I don't know how. Yeah. Outside of dating apps. And, like, I don't have an interest in going to, like, a bar by myself and just, like, waiting for somebody to come talk to me. Like, I don't want to talk to a stranger in a strange location. I don't want to do that.
Well, and the thing about that is, too, is that nowadays there's so much... there's the biggest idea of dating is really just hooking up. Maybe hooking up with someone for a little while, but really it's just trying to, have a one-night stand or make out with someone for a little bit or something like that. I mean, it goes both ways with guys and girls. There's like, I think it's just kind of nowadays, there's never really any kind of wooing aspect to it. Like, the guy just goes, hey, you look hot. Want to dance with me and us get weird later, and it just turns into that. And so the girl's never able to kind of be like, okay, who is this guy? Like, who is this person that I'm kind of trusting to go out with and things like that.
Well, that's one of the things when I broke up with Catboy, I was talking to my mom about him because she was like, all right, how's it going? And I was like explaining to her some of the stuff that he was doing, and she was like, it just sounds like he's not a gentleman. And I'm like, you're right, he's not.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, on both genders, gentlemen and ladies, they're dying out. I think it's just there's a lot of like, okay, so when I was living in London, there's a huge bar scene in London for like, 18-year-olds can go to the bar and drink in London. And so I had this group of girls that I was hanging out with, and they're all like, every night they're like, let's go to this club, let's go to that club. And like one night I finally pulled a girl aside because like she had this skirt that like if she moved her legs open too much, it would have like popped open. And I was like, listen, I dig your style, but you need to not make it so easy for people. I mean, I'm not saying that it's like you're you know, if anything were to happen to you, it's not your fault. But just make it a little bit harder. Like, you're an 18-year-old girl drunk in a skirt that could just, like, with a flick of a wrist be torn off. Like, don't make, but they're like, but that's the thing now, is that you want to look like a floozy. And I know, I mean, but at the same time, it's like, I get that, you know, if anything could happen. I was dressed kind of, you know, teachery, and I still got my butt grabbed in the bar. You know, it's just like, but that's the thing. It's like the more attention you put on you, the more you are statistically at risk. It's not that there's anything wrong. It's just you gotta be careful. And so, but that's the thing too, is that on the other side with the guys, it's like, oh, she's dressed that way. That must mean she wants a one-night stand. And it's just like, there's this kind of overlap of like the whole victim shaming aspect. It's like, no, not shaming. I'm trying to prevent, victim preventing. It's like, no, we have to be able to say like, hey, you know, you're kind of sending the wrong signals. You just want to have a good time. That's great. You know, that's awesome. You can show as much skin as you want. Just like, you know, make sure your goodies
secure.
Your goodies are not accessible. So, you know, yeah. So it's just kind of like, and the thing is that, you know, girls are also taught that, you know, if guys treat them, so if they treat them like objects, it's like, oh, I'm so sexy, I'm like, you know, whatever. And it's like, no, like, stop it. So, yeah.
But then, you know, the only other way to meet people outside of online dating nowadays is through friends. But if you've met all your friends' and all your friends' friends are either one, taken, or two, your friends say they're not good to date, then it's like, all right, well, I've met everybody that I can possibly know.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Yeah. And that's true too, because it's kind of like, excuse me, you know, I think that it's hard nowadays to be able to, because I mean, once someone has a close-knit group of friends, and as an adult, it kind of just stays that way. Like, it's not, you don't really have commingling and everything else within like other social groups. Like, you have to go to like, I don't know, fitness clubs and like other places that you can actually like be interacting with other people to meet them. But even then, it's like, it's not guaranteed that you're gonna meet someone.
Yeah. But like, modern dating is so weird because, you know, my mom talks about how dating was when she was dating people, and it's like totally different now, and she like doesn't understand modern dating. She's like, okay, so you're just talking, what does that mean? And I'm like, talking is a big thing. It's like it's a thing. It's like the pre-dating dating. She's like, well, why don't you just call it dating? It's like, because you're not dating. And so
you're just gearing up for the dating.
You're just talking.
Yeah.
And so, but like, she was like, you know, that's just, she was like, when she was in college, she was talking about how, you know, because she was also in a sorority, and so she was like, you know, if a sorority girl was single, if a fraternity guy would come along and be like, hey, you want to date? And it's like, yeah, sure, now we're going to date.
Yeah.
And then you decide, okay, we're not going to date anymore, and then you find another person to date. And it's like, there was never any pressure that went along with it. It was just like, well, this is the person that I'm dating right now.
Yeah.
It's like, you always had a person, even if you weren't like super interested in them. It's just like, you date people. That's just what you do. And it's like, there's so much that goes along with it now that it's like, oh, if you're dating somebody, it's like a thing. And it's like, oh my gosh, you got to know that you want to date them before you date them.
Yeah. And I think the thing is too, is that we have a very commitment phobic generation for our age group. Millennials are very much, I mean, millennials are the children of divorcees. And so it's just kind of like, oh, I don't want to like get into anything too serious because then it will hurt me forever, you know? And so it's just kind of like, you know, we're like, okay, what is this going to be? Okay, we're just talking. All right, that's it. I can make a clean break if we're just talking. But if we're dating, then all of a sudden it's like, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? How's that work? When are we going to be like official? When are we going to be on Facebook? And it's kind of like, I think the thing is too, and with the whole like social media aspect of it is like, that person kind of becomes intertwined with your life. Like, they're not just your friend, but they're linked. There's a link for them on your profile when you say you're in a relationship with. And so it's just like, and then you like take pictures together and you're tagged together, and it's just like you become part of this person's whole life, even when you're not even like calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend yet. You know, and you are, it's like, oh man, now there's like a timeline of when I need to ask or when they're going to ask me to marry them. And so it's just like, so a lot of people just go, oh, I'm not going to get to the point of boyfriend and girlfriend because I don't ever want to get married. And so it's just kind of like, it's so just complex. Like, it's so like, there's so many like moving parts with modern
But it's like,
dating.
that's why it's so weird, is because it doesn't have to be weird if you just like talk about it and you're both like on the same page as far as what you want. But it's like so hard to find that when, you know, because even though there shouldn't be and there doesn't have to be expectations, if you date somebody through something like Tinder or Bumble or something that is a dating app, the implication is we are going to date. Yeah. You can't just meet people because this is a dating app. And so then it's like, it doesn't.
That's the thing. Like, you can't just test the water either. It's like, you don't go too far, but also we're not gonna like just be friends. Like, that's the thing. Like, we can't, like, guys and girls can't just be friends.
Apparently not.
They have to like go on dates and like be romantic and stuff. It's like, no, you just meet, you know, your respective orientation, gender, and, you know, just find people. Sometimes they'll be friends. Sometimes you won't want to be around them. Sometimes it might work out and be a relationship. So
I had a friend tell me in college something that I'll never forget. This was like one of my first guy friends I made in college. And we were talking about, you know, like, oh, are you interested in anybody and all this kind of stuff. So we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, there's this guy, there's one of the guys in the hallway that I'm kind of interested in. But so, you know, he asked me on a date, so I might go just to kind of like, you know, see what he's like and that kind of thing. He's like, no. Here's how a guy's mind works. And, you know, when he said this, I think knowing now what kind of like good people there are here is like, okay, this doesn't apply to all guys, but this applies to most guys. Ones that are raised right and ones that are raised to be gentlemanly, this doesn't apply. But for the general population, this probably applies. He was like, if you agree to a date, a guy will take that as you're interested. Not, oh, as you just said, just getting to know him, getting to see if you want to date. If you go on a date with him, you're already dating him. And so he's like, if you agree to a date, that is in his mind, he has got you. He thinks you're interested in him. And I was like, but no, like, I just want to go on a date and see what it would be like. And he's like, no, that's not how it works in a guy's mind. And I was just like, what the heck? What the heck?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's just kind of like, you can't, it's like they go, score, I'm in, you know, and it's just kind of like, she likes me. Obviously, she wouldn't say yes if she didn't like me. And it's like,
but then if you just say like, no, I just want to hang out as friends, and it's like, oh, well, forget her. She doesn't like me. Yeah, like, she doesn't want to date me.
I'm a nice guy, but I guess nice guys finish last. And it's like,
I'm so tired of hearing that. It's just like, maybe if you say that, hey, guys, if you say that, you're not a nice guy.
You're not a nice guy. Or
stop saying that.
Or you could be, but you're narcissistic as hell.
Yeah.
So, but there was this one time I was working in a theater company, and after we finished everything, we like finished building the set and everything, one of my friends, I thought, asked me if I wanted to go grab dinner afterwards. And I was like, yeah, sure. We've been working. It's almost like 11 o'clock, and let's go grab some dinner. It wasn't 11 o'clock, it was like 9:30, but let's go grab some dinner. And so he's like, great, and he takes me to this really fancy Italian restaurant, and I was like, oh no. And so we like sat down, and I was like, oh no, and started, and like, so we got through the meal and everything, and so I was like, I gotta shut this down real quick. So we finished the meal, we went back, and he was walking me back to my dorm, and I was like I didn't know this was a date. I want to tell you, you're a great guy. I was not, and I had to like be like not a date, because it was like, I couldn't let him think that it was.
Yeah.
Because he would have been like, now we're going to pursue this. I was
Yeah.
like, no, you're just my friend.
Yeah.
So stop it. So.
But also, that's like sneaky that he didn't just like say it. You had to like figure it out. Because, you know, when he says, oh, let's go grab dinner, that's like, let's go over to Sonic and grab some cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, hey, let's grab dinner. Yeah, okay. And then you go to a fancy restaurant. It's like, haha, I've tricked you.
Haha, you agreed to this.
Ha-ha.
No, I didn't, though.
Yeah. That's just sleeping.
Yeah. So we stopped talking after that. We just did our work in the theater company and went home. So, and that's the thing too, is that, you know, in my experience, I'm sure it happens in the other, you know, the switching gender kind of thing. But like with guys, it's like if you turn them down, they don't want anything to do with you.
Exactly.
Like,
getting friend zoned is the worst thing. But it's like, you don't realize, if you're in the friend zone, you're going to be sticking around a lot longer than probably some boyfriends are.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is that if you're in the friend zone, that means we like being around you.
Yeah.
Maybe not right, we don't want to date you right now, but that doesn't mean like you're stuck in the friend zone.
Yeah.
It just means that we like where we are with you right now. And if it turns into something else, great. But if not,
But not right now.
Why can't you be cool? Like, why can't, if you like being around me, why can't we just be around you? And they're like, oh, it hurts too much. Get over it.
So, one more thing that I wanted to talk about, one more aspect of Tinder, just in case we haven't ragged on it enough, is how, like, scary it can be sometimes.
Yes.
So, the example that made me start thinking about this was Shane Dawson did his new conspiracy theory series. And in his new video, he talked to Brittany Louise Taylor, who is a fellow YouTuber. And she and Shane used to be very close friends and very close collaborators. But then she got a boyfriend and very quickly got pregnant and got married and got a house and moved away. And, like, it all happened very fast. And so, like, as soon as she started dating this guy, they kind of stopped talking. And now she's not with that guy anymore. They're divorced. And so she and Shane met back up to talk about what happened, because over the phone, she was like, I don't know what I'm legally allowed to say.
Oh.
Yeah. It was, like, serious. And so I won't tell you everything that happens, because y'all should go watch the series because it's really good. Okay. But basically, this guy that she met through Tinder, and he was, like, involved in, like, sex trafficking and was trying to traffic her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Her and her kid.
What?
Yeah. And, like, which just, you know, and apparently in the research when they were, like, looking into this guy, this is not an uncommon thing on Tinder and, like, other dating sites. It's, like, a place for traffickers to go lure people. Yeah. It's just, like, that thought alone is just, like, so terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, I mean, I don't know. Any kind of dating for women, it's like you just I mean, kind of what I was talking about earlier with the girls in London, it's like you just have to be as careful as possible. Like, you know, things are going to happen, but, like, you have to be able to kind of go into things going, like, have I taken as many precautions as necessary? Have I, you know, picked a public place? Is it during the daytime? Is there, you know, do I know enough about him to be able to, you know if this person was lying on the internet or whatever, like that, you know, just being able to connect it. But at the same time, it's still just like I mean, I knew the guy went to UTA. I knew what he looked like. I knew what major and clubs and everything else, and we were going to meet at a public place. I still chickened out. Yeah. I'm still just like, no.
Well, I mean, like, even with this Brittany Louise Taylor, like, when she was telling her story, she had legitimate reasons to believe everything he said and to continue with the relationship. It was only until, like, much later when they were, like, getting close to starting to, like, get them out of the country that it was just like, okay, something's happening. But up until that point, most of it had seemed legit. Like, she didn't have much of a reason to be like, you know, it's hard to explain without having seen it, but, you know, she's not a stupid person.
Yeah,
and
I mean, people can be manipulated. They can lie very, very well. And so I think that's the thing too, is that it's kind of like there was like this I don't know, weird documentary series or something where it was like, oh, how well do you know your spouse or whatever like that, and it was just like, you never know. Like, there's always like, you know, like serial killers in TV shows, like the wife's like, what? You know, and so, you know, you never know, you know, who the person is, and so it's just kind of like, you know, you just gotta have to be as careful as possible, and if you feel uncomfortable,
peace out.
GTFO.
Yeah. So
we've really ragged on Tinder. Do you think we
did.
should like either talk about something else, or maybe talk about like a positive of online dating? Or,
I mean,
we kind of talked about a little bit of positives. Of
we just haven't experienced the positive.
Yeah.
But there are people out there that have had positive experiences on dating apps, and they meet good people, and you know, again, we have not had that experience, and so it's hard for us to be like, oh, this is how they do it. But it's like, I'm sure it has to do with how you... I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure there's a way to have good connections through dating apps.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, like, I have a couple of girlfriends who, like, I think there's a problem with kind of, like, our dating culture, like, the whole modern dating thing, because it kind of... It's so hard nowadays, and I have two really good friends that they're constantly like, oh, something's wrong with me, I guess I'm gonna die alone, all this other stuff, but all they have is Tinder. Like, all they have is websites like that to rely on, and they end up finding a bunch of creeps, and then they're like, oh, what's wrong with me, why can't I find any good guys? And
that's
like,
not it.
You're having to sift through the muck, like, you know, but it's really hard, like, you know, two beautiful, smart, capable, you know, funny friends just being able to, you know, date someone good, you know, and I wish there's like an app for like meeting friends to be able to introduce to your friends, because that'd be great.
Yeah, so, like a Tinder for people that you know. It's like, do you have a friend that needs somebody? Come look here, and you can screen them first. It's like, perfect.
Yeah, that'd be great. And, you know, being able to, you know, help your friends out and stuff. But it's just like, it's hard because it's, you know, it's so detrimental to self-esteem, but also, you know, it's lonely. And when
you get discouraged too, when you like start going on bad dates, it's like, man, why am I doing this? So then you stop, and then you're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, either it's just like, I give up, I guess, or you just have to keep going through kind of awkward and horrible situations.
Yeah.
So, like, one of my friends, she called me a serial monogamist because I was constantly in and out of relationships. But the fact of the matter is that it seems like that's kind of how you have to do things now. You have to just try a bunch of relationships and finally find... Like, I still, even though I've had... I don't even remember how many relationships I've had. They've all been terrible. All of them terrible. Like, they ended up... It's always like, at the beginning, it's like, oh, this is okay, this is cool. Like, they have these qualities, but then it was always just like, you know, plummeted.
Well, it only takes one.
Yeah. And so, so meeting Forrest, it's kind of like, geez, I'm lucky. Like, it's just like, you know... We're like, we work so well together. Like, you heard us in the kitchen just a little while ago going back and forth. You know, it's just, but the thing is that so many people can't find that because it's so hard to find nowadays because we don't, I think I've said nowadays like 10 times.
Nowadays, kids these days.
Kids these days don't know how to date nothing. But,
no, I mean, it is hard, and like, I mean, I feel the same way too. I feel very lucky, especially because, like, I don't know, it's weird to think about because I still remember the time when you were like trying to set up me and Landon, and I was just like, oh, Kaylin's being silly, and like,
and I was determined. I was like, this is gonna happen.
But like,
y'all are gonna love each other.
But like, so you can tell me if this is true or not, but I kind of thought, I won't be offended if you did do this, but I was just like, oh, Caitlin is just setting me up with Landon because we're the only two single friends left.
No, I mean, I thought that y'all's personalities, like, maybe not necessarily, I mean, not y'all's interests, obviously, we know y'all are different in interest, but I mean at the same time, like y'all have the same type of personality that just works really well. Y'all are both just very like, you know, kind of chill people. Like y'all like what y'all like, and it's just kind of so like I saw that in him, and like I saw kind of the way that y'all talk to each other, and I could tell that he liked you, and so I was just kind of like, hey Emily, this guy's pretty cute, huh? you should date him.
Well, but like, again, like I can remember kind of how I was thinking before we actually did start talking, and you know, that was my kind of perception of it. Was just like, oh, she's just setting us up because she knows of us. She knows we're both single, so she wants to set us up. But then it's like, man, I'm so glad that it actually worked, because it's pretty great.
See, I can see the future. So,
okay.
But yeah, no, I saw, you know, I saw something between you guys, and I was like,
but
because
like, what if that hadn't been there? Like, what if?
Because the thing is, I have a few single guy friends. They're kind of the worst. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, if Landon wasn't a part of the picture, or if I wasn't a part of the picture, then it's like, okay, what would we be doing now? Yeah. It's like, I'd still be just kind of like wandering around, being like, I don't know what to do, and like,
well, hell, if I didn't go to your party 3 years ago,
who knows what be going on?
I never would have met Forrest. And I'm very sad right now. I'd probably still be living with my parents right now in Duncanville, not knowing what the hell I'm going to do with my life. Oh, God.
Okay, let's move on.
I hope we're not in an alternate reality.
Oh, my gosh. Quick, open the door. Make sure he's still there.
Oh, my God. Forrest, I love you.
Let's move on.
I don't know what else
Is
to say.
that our conclusion? I feel like we've talked this topic to death, so.
I think that's our conclusion.
Okay. Let's move on.
All right.
Caitlin, what's your weekly obsession?
So my weekly obsession, I forgot we do this.
You're about to pack it up, man.
Yeah. So my weekly obsession is what we talked about a couple of weeks ago as the recordings come out, not as we're recording. But last week, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about veganism. And so my obsession has been trying to figure out how to get back into that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's been at least 3 times where my obsession has been a podcast before.
Yeah.
I'm a little boring. I'm sorry. So, I mean, okay. So I guess I could add on to that because, I mean, we talked veganism to death last time. But another one would be starting up my own private business. So I'm going to be starting being a private tutor, and so I've been making flyers, as you can see. They're very pretty, and I've been setting up my home office and everything else like that.
That's very cute.
I've been learning how to be a girl boss and do self or small business and all this other stuff. Marketing.
Yay.
So that's been my weekly obsession. There's not really much to talk about because I don't want to like promote it here. So, anyways, Emily, what's your weekly obsession?
Mine's not nearly as productive as yours is.
That's okay. It's probably more interesting, at least.
Debatable. My weekly obsession is restoration videos on YouTube.
Like them repairing things, like works of art and stuff?
So, the ones that I have fallen into a pit on are the painting restoration videos.
Ooh. Yeah, I follow...
Mesmerizing.
So, I know I said in the social media thing that I deleted Reddit, which I did for a while, but I'm back on Reddit.
Caitlin.
Mainly to be on the subreddit, Oddly Satisfying. And there's been a lot of painting restoration ones on there. Just like little tiny clips of like them like cleaning with the...
Well, imagine an entire video about it.
That'd be really cool.
Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can find the channel that I've been watching. Baumgartner Restoration. Baumgartner. Because he like explains what he's doing as he's doing it. He has a very calming voice, and he just like his studio is like so clean, and so it's just like, oh, this clean environment that I'm sitting in watching somebody work on a painting. Oh, it's so nice. So that's been my weekly obsession. I freaking love these videos.
Yeah, that's really cool. Just the way that they can. I mean, it's such delicate work.
Yeah.
And it's just I think those are.
Like he did this one video, which was fascinating. He had a painting that was done on a piece of paper that had been glued onto a piece of wood, and over time the wood had started to like expand and change shape, and so the paper was like wrinkling and changing shape and kind of getting stretched and warped and all that stuff. And like the way he got about getting this piece of paper off of this piece of wood without damaging the painting at all, I was just like, oh my god, magic, fascinating. Fascinating.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's my weekly obsession.
That's really cool. Yeah, one time I was on the Oddly Satisfying subreddit, which is like, except for the Aw one, which has like little puppies and kittens. I'm always on this Oddly Satisfied. But I was one time watching this guy clean a rug. And Forrest was like, why are you just watching this guy clean? But it was fascinating. Because like this really dirty rug, and he had like this power cleaner. It was like going over it, and it was just like, it's beautiful.
You just see like a stripe of clean left behind, and you're like, oh yes.
Oh yes. Because it's so clean now. Okay. Yeah. That's really cool, though. Yeah, we'll have to check those out. That's another 2 out of 8. Then I'm like,
hey, if I get you on some of this stuff every now and then that's fine by me.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I'm not going to start my own tutoring business, though. So.
Yeah, no, I don't do it. It's stressful. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh God, what else do I gotta do today? Oh God. Ugh. Okay. Thank you for listening to Almost Sisters. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Emily.
You can follow me at authorcsloanlewis.com for my blog and c.sloanlewis on Instagram. You can follow Emily Painter on YouTube. Almost Sisters is a production of Blab and Scribble Studios. You can follow all our current and future projects by going to blabandscribble.wordpress.com. You can find links to all of our stuff in the description box. Emily, should we do an outro?
No, not today.
You know, there's going to be a lot of people on YouTube that click on your channel and expect you to be Emily the Painter.
I am Emily the Painter.
That's true. Never mind. The way you looked at me. You were like, so yeah. Oh, you're right. You paint. I forget. You do so many crafts. I can only I can glue paper to paper. That's what I can do.
I'm telling you, my best joke of all time was a pun on my name. So.
What was the
I
joke?
leaned into it. I was wearing boyfriend jeans, and somebody was like, "Oh, I like your pants. They look like you're, getting ready to go paint something, like painter pants." And I was like, "All of my pants are painter pants."
Oh, yeah. That is a good joke.
Thank you. Good night.